Abuja, the story of Thomas Fuller is very inspiring. Thomas Fuller was born in 1710 and he was born in Africa. It is believed that where Thomas Fuller was born was between modern-day Liberia and Benin. In the year 1724, Thomas Fuller was kidnapped at age 14 and was enslaved by a woman called Elizabeth Cos. Yet Thomas Fuller Ekupiemu of Virginia. And according to history, his mathematical skill was unmatched. So Thomas Fuller started calculating things without any formal education. So upon people realizing how smart Thomas Fuller was in terms of arithmetic, the news of this slave from Africa started spreading everywhere. In the east coast of United States, France, and Germany, the news of the mental calculator was all over. So people tried to even buy Thomas Fuller from his mistress, but his mistress, Elizabeth Cos, did not allow anyone to buy Thomas Fuller. His story continued. Now, when Thomas Fuller was 70 years, two members of the Pennsylvania Abolition Society, William Hartshorne and Samuel Coates, decided to stop by at where Thomas Fuller was and have an interview with him. They wanted to test his arithmetic skills and get to know whether the stories that they've heard about Thomas Fuller was indeed true. So they stopped by, and then on that day, they were joined by a founding father of the Pennsylvania Abolition Society and also a physician, Benjamin Rush. Now, Omokoshia Thomas Fuller no, almost started say, Omo bisebisa nsem, just to know say, Abrantia no, a young person to me the nadjune a calculate huge numbers ana. So the first question on beside Thomas Fuller was that how many seconds there are in a year and a half. Now Thomas Fuller in about 2 minutes answered say 47,304,000 seconds. They checked and it was correct. The second question was that how many seconds a man has lived who is 70 years and 12 hours old. Thomas Fuller in 1.5 minutes answered that it is 2,210,800,500. But one of the gentlemen said the answer was not correct. But Thomas Fuller, knowing what he knows, replied the man said, and I quote, "Top massa, you forget the leap year." So they added the seconds of the leap year to their answer, and then it was exactly the same answer that Thomas Fuller gave to them. Now the third question was that suppose a farmer has 6 sows and each sow has 6 female pigs the first year, and they all increase in the same proportion to the end of 8 years. How many sows would the farmer then have? And in 10 minutes, Thomas Fuller answered that it is 34,588,806, and it was correct. The reason why he delayed for like 10 minutes before answering this question was a mistake that they made. But one of them, in their usual way, tried to somehow look down on Thomas Fuller and said, "Sir, but it's a pity that we in one go school." And Thomas Fuller said to the man that, "No, massa, it is best I had no learning. For many learned men be great sebi, a Jimmy for," and he left them. Right after that, they added Thomas Fuller to the Abolition Society. And then a lot of people wrote about Thomas Fuller and said, "Sir, Thomas Fuller is an example of the reason why black people should have equal rights and not considered as inferior to the white." Fast forward, in 1790, at age 80, Thomas Fuller passed in Virginia, but he did not pass as a slave from Africa, but rather an extraordinary arithmetic genius, the Virginia calculator and the mental calculator. And the news of Thomas Fuller from the day he died in 1790 still remains relevant whenever discussions on arithmetic pops up. Now hear me, though he had no formal education, but that did not define who he was. He had a purpose and knew what the purpose was and stood for that purpose and make sure he will fight for it till the end. Listen, it is no fault of ours that we were born to the parents that we were born to, whether rich or poor. And it is no fault of ours that in spite of all the big cities and towns, it is no fault of ours. But one thing is key, do not let that situation define who you are. Do not. You can be born poor, but dying poor depend on you. Sometimes people reach out to me and then they tell me that nanka ye kokuye, but they be a video 1 or 2 be and when I ask them the reason why person comes, so we are tired. You are tired of life. Listen, say because the rich people that we see them today, most of them have been in that situation that you find yourself. And I can tell you that at their age, your situation was even better than them. So what is your excuse? It is difficult. Let no one lie to you that this life is an easy one. and then you will have it easy. There's nothing like that. It is difficult. Ya will be mu to see so ya will be mu to aminem. The dynamics is not the same. But regardless of say ya will to aminem, just know that you equally have the potential to be great, just like Nipana ya will no to see so. But you can only do that when you have a purpose and pursue that purpose regardless. Ya won't call for mu to kwa fi omu krase eko krom a no mu kokra polity ne krom. Today, if those people can boast of properties of their own, what is your excuse? Do not limit yourself to that situation. Do not limit yourself to that problem. Do not limit yourself to the definitions of people. That is not who you are. Rise above their definition of you and rise above every situation that is unfavorable and start fighting for that cause. Listen, you are not alone. So fight for that cause and just have the belief and hope that you will definitely get to that destination. Forget about the timelines. Getting there is actually the goal. It is doable and you can do it. Ebia one go school. Have it in mind that it doesn't matter. You can equally do something and make yourself proud. Be determined and be focused and have it in mind so you can do it and it is doable. Share your thoughts with me in the comment section and follow the page for more Media Citizen. Kojo Jr. God bless you.